by the new head coach of Xavier. You can't say when I first started. Now you're a Field of 68 guy. I've never been on with you on the Field of 68, but you've jumped on with Jeff Goodman before. But when I said, I think when I first came on the Field of 68, I said Xavier, and
Yeah.
man, the Xavier fans they don't like that.
No, it's
Cannot pronounce the X.
no, my youngest one has said that several times, and all the people at New Mexico mispronounce it every single time. So I've tried to explain to them, like, you cannot say Xavier, it's Xavier. So I remember doing the press conference. I'm like, all right, don't screw this up, man. Don't say Xavier. So I was good.
It's like you look at, the chancellor's name, the athletic director's name, you can't mess those things up at all. Let me ask you this. FIU, Minnesota, New Mexico, and now Xavier. What's been the biggest difference from the first time, the first opportunity you got the head coach, your first press conference, to now being the head coach at Xavier?
The profession has changed. And what makes a job good or bad has changed. Um, the number one thing right now is legitimately your NIL payroll. Where I think when we first started in this profession, or as a head coach, I should say, it was the buzzwords were practice facility, chartered flights. Then it became along the journey nutrition, um, you know, mental health therapists, massage stuff, whatever it may be from there. And now it's NIL. So, it's what the kids are deciding schools on. Will that change? I don't know. So it's just the goalposts have been moved, and it is what it is. So, but I think the profession has changed drastically.
Coach, when you go through something that you went through at Minnesota, I mean, you didn't really have a lot of time to self-reflect, but I'm sure your experiences there at Minnesota prepared you for the opportunity that you got at New Mexico, and now you're the head coach in the Big East. Talk about that, like just what you went through coming out of Minnesota and how that helped you. Because I think a lot of times people don't understand when you lose your job, your perspective shifts and it shifts in a way of, okay, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And how can I get better? So for you, and again, you didn't have a ton of time to reflect because you jumped into that opportunity at New Mexico. But what was it that you learned that prepared you for New Mexico where you guys could go to back-to-back NCAA tournaments?
I think the first thing that I learned was not in a very just bad way of looking at life, but nobody really cares. Everybody worries about their own problems. So my immediate reaction was nobody's going to feel sorry for me, whether it's my friends, whether it's peers, whatever. Like, they don't want to hear me complain. So I've never ever been bitter. I've never ever been oh, I got screwed or whatever. Like, I just moved on. Was it hard to leave Minnesota and my good friends? And yeah, like, there was a lot of nights where I felt as though I let my family down, because we had a really good life in Minnesota. So that would be one, is that nobody cares, so do not complain. And then when I got the New Mexico job, what I saw was I was able to bring people with me, whether it was administration, boosters, staff, and then obviously the players, to get them to understand what the vision was. I don't think I did a good job of that in my 8 years in Minnesota. Like, we had success. We went to two NCAA tournaments. We won the NIT. Like, I know I can coach. But now, the 4 years in New Mexico, I thought I did a really good job of the fans, the boosters, the administration, alumni, to get them to be on the same page with me, to get the train moving in the right direction. And it's the most important thing. And you show them the vision of, okay, NIL. Well, what does NIL do? It packs the arenas. It helps you win. It helps the university. And after doing it for 13 years, I realized, like, I cannot do it alone. So when I walk into the facility every day, I do my very best to not sit in my office and close my door and just watch film.
Mhm.
It's not what I my role now is to pull the assistants with me, to get them to understand what it is you need to do to serve this position. But then whether it's development or whether it's administration, like just get them to see my vision. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've shifted in my mind is it's not about watching practice, which I do. It's not about watching UConn when you're playing them, like which I do. It's about getting everybody to understand because this is about winning. It's about winning. That's what it is. That is what you're judged by. So put together a blueprint of how I believe we can win and get everybody on the bus with me.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Coach, the process too, and look, to take the team last year in a program when you took over, it wasn't in the best of spots and did an unbelievable job in New Mexico, but you lose in the NCAA tournament in a hard-fought game against Michigan State. And the timing in the process to take over this program, it's like the plane lands and all of a sudden, like, I'm sure you're fielding all these phone calls. Like, what was that like to deal with before you ultimately made the decision, like, you know what, Xavier's the right place for me. This is where I'm going.
It's a lot. I think the one thing that people have to understand is and I thought I did a really good job of it, but it's not an easy situation to handle, whether it's on the internet, whether it's your current roster, whether it's your employer, all those things. Because honestly, not to defend coaches, but we are put in a very bad position with these jobs that may be open, search firms, there may be interim head coaches, not to feel sorry for us, but they're trying to get a jump on it for the portal. So they're starting the process earlier and earlier and earlier. Anytime I got a phone call, the first thing I did was let my boss know, Fernando Lobo, who's a good friend of mine still. And I just said, hey, like, I don't know if I'm interested. I have no idea, because you may tell me I've got 10 million in NIL. I'm interested. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have a conversation. You don't necessarily interview for jobs. Some felt like interviews. Some felt like conversations. Some felt like I was interviewing them. Some felt like they were interviewing me. So in my mind, I'd much rather start when the season's over, but people are not trying to do that anymore because of the race against the clock for the portal to open. Xavier was an 11th hour deal. It wasn't a long process because Sean Miller took the job right after Texas when they lost to Illinois, but it was not a long process, and it just felt right. It really did. I don't know if it's because I'm a Big East guy. I went to school in the Big East. I'm a Northeast guy. Not that Ohio is more of a Midwest, but I'm a Northeast guy. But like a lot of what I loved was in the Midwest with Minnesota. But immediately when you take the job, your first thing is, well, I don't want it to get on the internet because I want to tell my players first. But the problem is if you tell your players, they may leak it to the media before the deal is done. So it's, you do your best to tell your employer, to tell your team, your staff, the best you possibly can.
Obviously, being back in the Big East, we know your dad's at St. John's having great success. You're a Providence alum. Like, what are you most looking forward to? Now, right now, it's just like the world has been spinning, making sure you hire your staff, making sure you got the NIL in the budget, making sure you get recruits and attack the portal the right way. But when all that stops and you have your roster set, what are you most looking forward to being a part of the Big East?
I think the most underrated thing in college basketball is to have your conference tournament at Madison Square Garden. Our profession is an NCAA tournament or bust profession. And, only 19% make the NCAA tournament. but yes, the ones who don't are deemed a failure, right? Um, so, 80 something percent, whatever it is, they don't go to the NCAA tournament. To have your conference tournament in Madison Square Garden is special. Being a part of a league that, it's not an ego thing, but like that's all about basketball.
Yeah.
And I love college football. Like I watch it all the time. I mean, you went to Florida, I worked to Florida. Like I love that.
Yeah, you're a
But
Gator fan. I mean, you root for Gator football. Come on.
you have
Let's
to.
go. You got to do the
I
show.
love the Gators, but just to have again, not to make it about me, but to have a university that needs Xavier men's basketball to do well, that excites me. Like if our success impacts this university and this community, like that excites me. So, there's a lot of really good people here. They understand the Big East is a basketball conference, and I love that. But you've got some programs in there that they're trying to go for it all, and I want to be a part of that as well.
I want to ask you this, and we'll let you go because you got to get back to, attacking the portal and fundraising and doing all the things you have to do as a head coach. I get to, this afternoon go try to tee it up and work on my golf swing. But now that I'm on this side of it, but you worked for your dad for a number of years, who's in the Hall of Fame. You work for Coach Donovan, who's going into the Hall of Fame. And I'm sure you've gotten this question before. What's the biggest similarity between those two Hall of Famers, and what's the biggest difference?
Yeah. I'll tell you this. The similarity is a desire to compete at the highest level. When I worked for my dad, I told somebody this the other day. They asked me, what's the difference? You get asked a lot. And I say this in the best possible way. My dad thinks he knows everything, not in a know-it-all way. He's not a know-it-all, but he thinks his way is the way that's going to win. Now, it probably is, right? I mean, it has won, but he's got an unbelievable belief in himself and his plan. And that is amazing to see. Coach Donovan will legitimately ask the janitor taking out his trash.
Should we play zone tomorrow?
Hey,
should we do that?
Johnny, what do you think we should do versus Kentucky? And I'll be like, Coach, what are you doing? Like, you're Billy Donovan. Like, but he has a process of what it is he's trying to get to that's substantially different than my dad's. They both get to the same place. They just go in an extremely different direction. But, I learned the way that Coach Donovan lived his life in Gainesville. I try to mirror that in the best way that I can. My dad's a jet setter. He's flying all over the world. He's living his life differently than I do. And I marvel at that too. It's just two different ways to do it. The best thing I ever did was go and work for Coach Donovan because it just showed me a different way and be able to work with him, but then a Rob Lanier, a Larry Shyatt, a Mark Dagnall. I mean, just to, when you work for my dad, it is it's his way, and we're all gonna go that way. With Coach Donovan, he would encourage you to, to challenge him. And so I certainly took a lot from that as well.
Well, I told him when he told me, but I knew the news before that he was going to the Hall of Fame. I knew a couple days before. I was on the phone with him. I said, when I left Western Mass, I made a promise to myself I was not going back to Western Mass. But now that he's going into the Hall of Fame, I told him the first time I go back to Western Mass is when he goes into the Hall of Fame. So hopefully you'll be there too. We get an opportunity. Maybe we can all tee it up together. I know